Welcome back. Well, on the 7th of November 1875, in the flickering lamplight of a colonial Bengal evening, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, a fiery novelist, patriot, and one of India's most electrifying 19th century minds, poured his soul into a six-stanza hymn that would one day thunder through prison cells and rally millions. First unveiled in his 1882 masterpiece, Vande Mataram, a blazing invocation of the motherland, became the battle cry of India's freedom fighters, a defiant roar against British chains. Today marks 150 days of it being adopted as the national song, a song that not only was famous amongst freedom fighters but also became a face, or rather the sound, of Indian freedom struggle. Speaking at the inauguration of the year-long commemoration of the 150 years of the national song, Prime Minister Modi said that the spirit of Vande Mataram illuminated the entire nation during the freedom struggle. But unfortunately, in 1937, the key verses of Vande Mataram, a part of its soul, were separated. Vande Mataram was torn apart. This division of Vande Mataram also sowed the seeds of the nation's division. Prime Minister Modi also emphasized that Vande Mataram is not merely a word, but a mantra, an energy, a dream, and a solemn resolve. We'll talk about what the Prime Minister said with our guest. Joining us on the broadcast is Rahul Ishwar, activist and political analyst. Hindol Sen Gupta, historian, also joins us on the show. Mr. Tarun Vijay, author and former member, Rajya Sabha, is with us on the program. Last but not the least, Dr. Suvro Kamal Datta, acclaimed international conservative expert, also joins us on the program. Dr. Datta, I'll begin with you. Well, I'm sure you're from Bengal, you love India, you're a nationalist, you know the history of Vande Mataram. It did talk about Ma Durga in the stanzas that were removed. They were removed because the Muslim League, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, all objected to its quote-unquote non-inclusive nature of India's secular fabric. And that is why Jana Gan Man was adopted as the national song. But for decades, the Congress and the people who wanted to feel motivated to participate in the freedom struggle to rid ourselves of colonial chains, took inspiration from Vande Mataram. In retrospect, I know it's history that we are revisiting. Do you think that it could have been a different India had Vande Mataram been our national song?
Yes, absolutely. Vinit, I start with Vande Mataram only, and it gives in a kind of a goosebump the moment you say Vande Mataram or the moment you say Jai Hind, because these are such patriotic slogans and it has such a long history behind it that it cannot be erased and it cannot be, washed out. It is true that Pandit Nehru was vehemently opposed to the whole song of Vande Mataram. He found it to be quite communal. I don't see any reason as to what is so communal about Vande Mataram. He had written a letter to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose way back in 1937 saying that if we adopt the whole Vande Mataram in independent Bharat, then perhaps it will communalize the society and many might take it in a communal way, in a communal color. I still cannot figure out as to what made Pandit Nehru think on those lines, because anyways, it was also the freedom cry of the Indian National Congress also during the time of the freedom movement, that everyone used to greet each other with Vande Mataram, and Vande Mataram was a rallying point across the nook and corner of the whole Indian subcontinent. I remember that during the partition of Bengal of 1905, both in East Bengal, the present-day Bangladesh, as well as in West Bengal, the undivided Bengal, the rallying point against the British Raj was Vande Mataram, and the whole movement for reunification of Bengal started with Vande Mataram. And even if I say that there is a religious connotation, what is the harm in it? There are 51 Shakti Pits across the Indian subcontinent, and Shakti Pit is there right from Dhakeshwari to Hinglaj, from Kathmandu, from Kailash Mansarovar to Annapurna to Sri Lanka south there, down there in the southern part of Indian subcontinent, in the island there, in Anuradhapura, So if there are Shakti Peeths of 51 in number across the nook and corner of the Indian subcontinent, and which is, a cultural symbol of the Indian subcontinent. So if there is an obeisance or if there is a prayer to Goddess Durga also, there is no harm in it, because after all, Goddess Durga is Mother Goddess, and the cult of Mother Goddess is there in every civilization, whether in the Babylonian civilization, Sumerian, Egyptian, or for that matter, the Chinese civilization, Southeast Asia, name Mayan civilization, Inca civilization, name any civilization, the cult of Mother Goddess is there in every civilization. And even in Islam also, the notion of Maryam is who? Maryam is the goddess mother, and she is also revered in Islam, and then so is Mother Mary in Christianity. So what is so communal about Goddess Durga or about the Mother Goddess? And if it was a rallying point across the Indian subcontinent, I see no reason as to what made Pandit Nehru think on communal lines in relation to this. I would appeal to the present government that the whole song of Vande Mataram should be incorporated into the Indian Constitution as our national song. Our national anthem is, of course, Jana Gana Mana, and that will remain there forever. But the whole song of Vande Mataram needs to be incorporated in the 150 years of the celebration of Vande Mataram as a national song, and I think the whole song needs to be adopted by the Indian Parliament.
Okay. Rahul Ishwar, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, of course.
Rahul, your thoughts on the inclusivity factor that the Prime Minister highlighted when it comes to Vande Mataram, the OG, if I can call it that, of the Indian freedom sentiment being rendered, music as well as expression. And it was done so beautifully that it not only became a song, Rahul, but it also motivated people to take part in the freedom struggle. How do you think, a secular India today will respond to such an anthem?
First of all, let us be very honest about this. Our secularism is pluralism, nothing else. Unfortunately, the Nehruvian secularism line has always been the faith-denying, religion-denying, culture-denying line. We need to be more of Gandhian secularist or Gandhian pluralist, where we balance interests, where we balance Hindu, Muslim, Christian interests, where we balance all the other community interests. This has been the mantra that India has adopted for so long. And during the national movement, there were two strands, majorly two strands. One was the left liberal progressive spectrum, which was led by Nehruji inside the Congress. Other was the right-leaning strand, which Sardar Patel championed. The right-leaning spectrum later had, or people like Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, C. Rajagopal Achari, who was more of the economic right wing. So the right and left, and Gandhiji being the center point. Mahatma Gandhi was the center point, who was a Hindu saint, but at the same point of time, raised the angle of Hindu-Muslim unity in a deeper way. So the whole angle of deletion, if we can call it, were the theological references as they felt at that point of time. I genuinely feel as a Hindu and an Indian, Vande Mataram should be taught in its full. And in the modern age, it was a Allah Rakha Rahman, a converted Muslim, a Hindu-born converted Muslim, who made my generation sang Vande Mataram with great pride in a much more new generation way, in a big way through Maa Tujhe Salam and Vande Mataram. So Vande Mataram should be an angle of inclusivity, and many of our Muslim brothers have unnecessary issue with Vande Mataram. I can respect their theological differences with invocation to goddesses, which can be problematic for them. But at the same point of time, some Muslim organizations even raise an angle of Vande, the word Vande, which they feel is a kind of worship. Vande is just bowing to the motherland or respecting the motherland, and even in hadiths there has been references that where is heaven? Heaven lies below the feet of your mother, and all the Muslim brothers, mothers are in India, so naturally it should be India. So we should reimagine and reinterpret Vande Mataram in a positive sense, inclusive sense. I have a ideological difference with the word secular. I would prefer the word pluralism more, Sarva Dharma Adar Bhavana or Sarva Dharma acceptance, whatever name you can call it. So I think it should be more of inclusive rereading, and Vande Mataram should be taught with more pride. Janagana Mana is absolutely wonderful, nobody is saying no, but Vande Mataram has a passion of its own, invocation of motherland, a sense of selfless service to the motherland, and the word motherland itself signifies an emotional weightage to it. So I think Vande Mataram should celebrate in the full glory, but understanding the sentiments and the complex history behind it, not demeaning anyone in the past, not blaming anyone in the past, but there was a historical context. India was the largest nation or piece of land with the maximum number of Hindus and maximum number of Muslims. At that point of time, it was not Indonesia. With the inclusion of then Pakistan and then Bangladesh, India was the largest Hindu majority and the largest Muslim majority nation in the world. So our leaders thought that we had to balance in a better way. Still, Modi ji and all does that balancing in a very deeper way, in a good sense. And even in this last October 2nd, Pujaniya Sarsang Chalak Mohan Bhagwat ji said, "Hum Gandhi ji ke raaste pe chalenge," or that Gandhian line is there. So that communal harmony line should be there, but it should not be at the cost of Hindu interest. Communal harmony should be there, pluralism should be there. It is not a one-way street. It should not be at the cost of Hindu interest. At the same time, we have to balance and synergize the best of worlds we have.
All right, fair enough. Hindol Sen Gupta, are you there with us?
There are two or three things that I would like to mention.
Hindol, let me first ask you my question. Hindol, first let me just frame my question, then you can respond. My question to you is: do you think that there is a sense of oblivion when it comes to Vande Mataram, and the younger generation definitely needs to know more about its history as well as its histrionics?
In fact, there are two or three things that I was saying is worth mentioning about Vande Mataram. Number one, remember that Vande Mataram in its entirety was sung when Maulana Azad was president of the Congress, and there was no problem, nobody objected to it, and this issue never. So now the second thing is that Vande Mataram, which of course Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay wrote, which later found a place in Anand Math, is really one of those epic stories of nationalism and nationhood that we have in our country. Now, this book, which a lot of young people don't remember anymore, is about warrior monks in the forest fighting for freedom. And I think every young Indian should be given a chance to read the book, if not taught the book. But that doesn't happen anymore, which is the tragedy. As far as Tagore's comments are concerned, I think there is a historical perspective through which you need to see this, or everybody needs to see this. There is one thing that must be mentioned here. Rabindranath Tagore himself, of course, as everybody is, was a product of his time and the product of his society. He was a Brahmo. So even though he liked the Vande Mataram song very much, there were some fundamental objections to idol worship in his worldview, in the Brahmo worldview. Also remember, if it's only about listening to Tagore and taking his advice, remember Tagore disagreed on nationalism with Gandhi because he believed in this universalist idea of brotherhood. Now that's all very well, but you cannot tell people who are stuck under a colonial yoke that they have to believe universalist idea of brotherhood until they throw off that yoke. And Gandhiji made that correct point to Tagore. So I think to use Tagore as a big thing to cover up what really happened is not fair. Yes, indeed, Tagore wrote this to Pandit Nehru and others. However, by that time, the climate had already got really vitiated with Muhammad Ali Jinnah and others making this demand that in its entirety the song needs to be scrapped. And of course, the demand for Pakistan and so on and so forth. When you take all of these things in context, you begin to understand what really would have happened. And I think you've spent, my apologies, we've spent so many decades debating this. We should put this debate to an end. The problem with India is that we have never been able to understand only for 75, 80 years, we're still understanding what our civilization is. I don't know when we will ever understand and when we will project it to the world. We have now become the fourth or fifth largest economy in the world. We are still struggling to understand. We are having this futile debate again and again. So I think we are the OG country, as it were, as the young people these days say. We are the original country of, in a sense, propagating and with a continuous tradition of feminine divine worship. This worship is present in our actual song. We should, my apologies, we should cherish it, we should really hold it in good measure, and we should propagate it. I don't see any controversy apart from the fact that there are a lot of people who want to keep this controversy alive, especially. And today, Jinnah is long gone, Pakistan is long created. Today, the people who want to create this controversy alive are people who are of a particular radical leftist nature, and they want to keep stoking these fires so that this controversy remains. Otherwise, there's no controversy. Now it's high time we adopt the whole song.
Okay, fair enough. Your perspective is pretty clear. Dr. Datta, do you agree with Indol that as a civilization, there needs to be a firm way of exuding who we are, and not basically quarrel about things that have happened in the past? Dr. Datta?
You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree to what you are saying, Vinit, and I think we should not feel ashamed of our civilizational past, and we should glorify that. And I draw a comparison here with Indonesia. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country of the whole world, but in Indonesia, their Sanatan Sanskriti is preserved, it is deified, it's worshipped. Lord Ram and Lord Hanuman are worshipped in nook and corner of Indonesia. Ramayana is the national book of Indonesia. It's known as Ramakin in Indonesia. And, the common people in Indonesia, they are addressed as Bumiputra, Bumiputri. So Bhumi is again mother, and Putra means son, and Putri means daughter. But it being a Muslim country, they don't have any problem in addressing themselves as Bhumiputra or as Bhumiputri. They worship Lord Ganesh. Lord Ganesh is there in the Indonesian rupaya of 20,000 rupaya and 50,000 rupaya. Garuda is their national airlines, so when they have no qualms in, preserving their past and glorifying and taking pride in their past. We need to learn from Indonesia, and we need to re-glorify our past heritage. In the same way, I will draw in the connotation here in the context of Bharat also. Mother Goddess is omnipresent. She is worshipped across the nook and corner of the Indian subcontinent, and she is a mother. So if you are worshipping the motherland as a mother, and if you are paying tribute to her, no matter in whichever form, in whichever name, whether in the name of Lakshmi, Durga, Saraswati or Kali, it doesn't matter, Even in Islam, there is the notion of Madre Watan, which means motherland, So when there is a notion of Madre Watan, and one has to respect and pay obedience to Madre Watan, so that is also in a way worshipping, isn't it? Worshipping of your motherland. So where is the question of having a communal mindset if the whole song of Vande Mataram is adopted? It was Pandit Nehru who had instigated this, and he was lapped up by Jinnah. If you look into the writings of that period, and especially the writings of Pandit Nehru also, as well as Jinnah, there was a correlation between the two to garner political dividends out of it. And that's the reason this song was opposed. Gandhiji himself per se never had any problem with Vande Mataram, like the way he never had any problem with Jan Gan Mana. It was vested interest within the Congress which had developed this psyche, and this legacy was continued by the successive Congress government after the independence of Bharat, and it still continues. Even now, Congress has problems with Vande Mataram, and they are very hesitant in singing this song. It is precisely because of that legacy. That's the reason they are opposed to it. And I think we have to do away with this kind of a legacy, and we have to take pride in our ancient heritage, and we need to glorify that, and we need to propagate that across the whole world.
Absolutely right. Rahul, I see your hand go up. Before we wrap up, would you like to say something?
1937, Gandhiji wrote this in Harijan. It's unfortunate that some Muslims should object to Vande Mataram. The song itself is undoubtedly a national song. It contains nothing to which objection can be taken in the first two stanzas, and the controversy is needless. So, and he was pointing out, he was trying for a nuanced, balanced point of view. Muslim brothers have the issue with theology, one God belief, such things. So he was sensitive to it. At the same point of time, he deeply loved the patriotic spirit of Vande Mataram. I think we should definitely honor the song in its full context. If some Muslim brothers have an issue with other stanza, let them not sing it. But we should definitely sing and celebrate as Hindus. We revere Ma Kali, Ma Saraswati, Durga, and also we should definitely sing it. We should not shy away from it. The core point is we should not shy away from it. Yes, we can understand the concerns of Muslims. They have a religious, theological objection. We should respect it. We shouldn't force it down. for them to sing. But we should not be pseudo-secular shy in claiming the heritage and singing the song in full. It is less about Muslims and more about us and our pseudo-secular shyness.
Fair enough. Good points. Rahul, appreciate you being here. Dr. Datta, thank you so much for your perspective and your time, and of course those wonderful arguments that you have made. We take a short break. We'll be back.